Hello and welcome back to our Lord of the Rings LCG solo progression series. And today's quest is Dungeons Deep and Caverns Dim, which is the third scenario in the Overhill and Underhill Deluxe expansion, and the third out of 6 total scenarios in the Hobbit saga. A quick reminder that in this series we're playing through each quest in chronological order of the game's initial release, and we'll only be using player cards that were available at the time of this quest's release. I'm calling this deck Curious Bear, and that's because we will be facing off with Gollum in the Riddles contest, and we're introducing Beorn in bear form. He is the hero, or one of the heroes from Overhill and Underhill, and he has Beorning and warrior traits, 12 threat, 0 willpower, 5 attack, 1 defense, and 10 health. He's very unique. He cannot have attachments, so we can't boost his stats through Dunedain warnings or marks, etc. And he is immune to player card effects, so we can't use any events on him. But he has this advantage where Beorn does not exhaust to defend, and so he's really a pincushion, as evidenced in the art. If you can see in the art, he has some arrows poking through him, so he takes the hits and just attacks back. So really, really helpful in certain quests. This is one of those. And then a ridiculously powerful hero, definitely broken, I would say, but who doesn't love Glorfindel? Spirit Glorfindel. He's from the Foundations of Stone pack, and it's crazy that we haven't used him yet. But he has Noldor Noble and Warrior traits, only 5 threat, 3 willpower, 3 attack, 1 defense, and 5 health. But he does have a drawback: forced. After Glorfindel exhausts to commit to a quest, raise your threat by 1. It's really hardly a drawback, though. Even if you never got Light of Valinor on him, you can just lower your threat in spirit anyway. So the forced effect isn't something we shouldn't be too scared of. But we can completely bypass the forced effect if we can attach Light of Valinor to him. It is a card that we used in Shadow and Flame. We attached it to Elrond in that quest, but attached hero does not exhaust to commit to the quest. And so Glorfindel with Light of Valinor is just all kinds of good. All right, so this quest is kind of panned, I think, by the community. People don't like not Riddles in the Dark, Dungeons Deep and Caverns Dim. I really like this quest. I think that it forces you, it's one of those quests where it forces you to build an unconventional deck. You can see that we have a mono spirit deck here. The only exception is Resourceful, and that's in the deck so that we can do something with Beorn's resources. Otherwise, we just want nothing but Spirit, which we've accomplished. We have a lot of 2-cost cards, and you'll see how the riddles work. Let's just get to the quest and see how we do. All right, so the opening hand, let's mull it. Well, anytime I see Imladra Stargazer, I think twice about mulligans, because so I could mulligan for a Light of Valinor. Let's do it, I guess. Let's mulligan. Okay, and we got Imladra Stargazer, so good hand there. And, wow, that's a really good hand. All right, so we will stick with that one gladly. Let's read about Out of the Frying Pan. After killing the Great Goblin, Bilbo's companions fought to win their escape from the goblins. By the time they realized that Bilbo had been lost in the darkness, it was too late to turn back and search for him. For setup, we add Lake in the Cavern to the staging area. Here is Lake in the Cavern. It's a unique location with a threat of X. X is twice the number of players in the game, so it's going to contribute 2 in solo. Players cannot travel here, and you can see it has a slash. It's just going to stay in staging no matter what we do. It is immune to player card effects. There's a forced effect after players advance to stage 3. Right now we're on stage 1. Then we remove Lake in the Cavern from the game. It says, deep down by the dark water lived old Gollum, a small slimy creature. And then it says, create a riddle area with stage 2A and follow the setup instructions on that card. So in the rules insert for Overhill and Underhill, it explains to us that from the quest deck, we take stage 2, and it is concurrently in play while we are at stage 1. All the players, if you're playing multiplayer, everybody plays the quest like normal, but simultaneously, Riddles in the Dark is in a separate play area. And so let's look at Riddles in the Dark. During the confusion, Bilbo stumbled down a tunnel and into Gollum's cave. There, the hobbit had to outwit the creature Gollum in a dangerous riddle contest to discover the way out. For setup, we search the encounter deck for Gollum and Bilbo's magic ring, place Gollum and Bilbo Baggins in the riddle area, and attach Bilbo's magic ring to Bilbo Baggins. All right, so down here in the riddle area, Bilbo is going to reside. He has his Bilbo's magic ring attached to him, and Gollum is down here. So while we're playing the game like normal at stage 1, simultaneously stage 2 is in play, and Bilbo's down here and Gollum is down here. And so now we can advance to the B sides of both of these. Let's start off with 1B. Out of the frying pan 1B, we have to make 14 progress to advance, but players cannot advance to stage 3 unless both 1B and 2B are complete. So we have to make 14 progress here, and we'll see in a minute we have to make 9 progress on Riddles in the Dark. So we could, make 50 progress out of the frying pan, but until we've also explored or completed Riddles in the Dark, we cannot advance. All right, so whenever there's a forced effect, we have to reveal an additional card per player during the staging step. So in solo, we'll have to reveal 2 during staging each round. So that's it for 1B. No win revealed at this point, or no added card. So let's look at 2B. We have to make 9 progress to advance, and it says players cannot advance unless this stage and 1B are complete. And this is unique. Progress tokens cannot be added to or removed from this quest except by answering riddles. And so we will have to answer riddles, which we'll see when we get to them. But for now, just know that whenever we make any kind of progress, we're questing and putting progress on out of the frying pan like normal. So cards in the riddle area, these would be these 3 cards, both 2B and Bilbo's magic ring and Gollum. They are immune to player card effects. We cannot interact with these cards, and they cannot leave the riddle area except by quest card effects. So we're familiar with Bilbo. We know what he does. He's just a 4th hero. He will gain resources each round. We just can't use them to play any cards in our hand. He is separate from us at this point. He does have some actions, which we might see, especially this first one. I don't ever do the second one, but sometimes when we're unsuccessful in answering a riddle, you can extend your opportunities by spending a Baggins resource. If forced, after the first player answers a riddle and fails to find at least one match, which we'll understand more about that in a minute. But if we're unsuccessful in answering the riddle, Gollum will attack Bilbo. He won't get a shadow card, thankfully, so 2 attack against 1 defense means that Bilbo can get 2 answers wrong, but 3 strikes and you're out, and there's no way to heal Bilbo. So we have built a deck so that Bilbo is safe. All right, so that is everything for setup. Let's go ahead and move into the first round. You have a really, really good hand here. I'm excited about that. Let's go ahead and put Imladris Stargazer into play rather than attaching Light of Valinor quite yet. I think that's the better way to approach this. Okay, we're only going to quest with Frodo. We're going to leave Glorfindel ready. We won't quest with Beorn. Wouldn't be useful anyway. So we have to reveal 2 cards because of this forced effect. Card number 1 is Goblin Runners. It's going to surge, so let's add another one. It's going to surge into Goblin Driver. When revealed, the first player exhausts 1 character he controls. We'll exhaust Imladris Stargazer. And then that's going to reveal another card, Goblin Axeman. All right, so a lot of combat here out of the gate, so we get to prove why we have Beorn and even Glorfindel in the quest. Now, we were very unsuccessful in this quest. Let's go ahead and play Elrond's Council to lower our threat by 3 and boost Frodo's willpower. So our threat goes up by 5. And so now we're going to have to engage these 2 characters, but Goblin Driver, we could, if we wanted to, optionally engage Goblin Driver, but it seems to me we don't want to. Let's just leave him there in staging for now. Okay, so we have 2 enemies attacking us. Goblin Runners, let's take this attack undefended and put the damage on Frodo. So 3 attack undefended. There's a shadow effect. Attacking enemy makes an additional attack immediately after this one. So 3 undefended damage. We're going to put it on Frodo and convert that into threat using his response. A response after Frodo Baggins is damaged. cancel the damage and instead raise your threat by the amount of damage he would have been dealt. So that 3 damage turned into 3 threat. Unfortunately, Goblin Runners is going to attack again. And we'll take it undefended and put it on Glorfindel this time. And so 3 damage on Glorfindel. And now Goblin Axeman is going to get +1 for each cave location in play. There is 1 cave location, so he's attacking for 2. And we'll defend with Beorn. He does not exhaust to defend, so 2 against 1. And defending player exhausts 1 character he controls. We'll exhaust Glorfindel. So that is 2 attack against Beorn's 1 defense. So 1 damage on Beorn. And now we want to destroy, I suppose, let's destroy Goblin Axeman. Okay, and then we discard, Beorn exhausted to attack. He just doesn't exhaust to defend. So we do have to worry about a Goblin Runner for next round. Refresh. Next round. Let's go ahead and attach Light of Valinor to Glorfindel. So now he can quest and not exhaust to do that, and he can be ready for attacking and defending. Then we will quest with Glorfindel and Frodo. I'm trying to think if I would rather put Arwen into play. Yeah, we'll just do that. Okay, we reveal 2 cards because of the forced effect here where we have to reveal 2. All right, so here's our first riddle. So when a card is revealed that has its regular, components, you see at the top, there's a force effect, etc. We also see in this quest cards that say riddle. If it says riddle, we can choose to either reveal this and add it to the staging area, or we can just try to pass the riddle. So let's choose that. Anytime I can do a riddle, I want to do that because I'd rather, once we solve a riddle, we discard this. It's not added to the staging area. We would be overrun if it wasn't for riddles in this deck. So this riddle says the first player names a sphere, shuffles his deck, and discards the top card. And we need to find whatever we discard, we want it to be that needs to match the sphere that we named. And obviously in this deck, we have 47 spirit cards. We're going to say spirit. And so we're going to shuffle our deck after having said spirit, and we discard a card. If it's resourceful, we haven't passed the riddle. But it was spirit, and so because of that, for each of those cards that matches the named sphere, place 1 progress token on stage 2. So we just did that. We just made our first progress on Riddles in the Dark. That is discarded. And now another card is revealed, and we just want to do riddles, so we're not going to worry about the one revealed. Riddle. The first player names a card type and cost, shuffles his deck, and discards the top 3. All right, we're going to say ally and 2. And in our deck, that is pretty much what we have most of. Allies 26 compared to the 29 that aren't allies, and they're all 2 costed. So we're going to say ally and 2 cost because it says card type and cost. So we shuffle our deck. Have I done that already? Yeah, I already shuffled the deck, and I discard 3 cards. I'm looking for 2 costed allies. 1, 2, 3. We got 1 match. So 1 progress made on Riddles in the Dark, and no progress made. No threat increase. We did reveal 2 cards, but they were both riddles. All right, so now our threat is at 30. Let's engage Goblin Driver. And we are going to take this attack undefended again with Goblin Runners. 3 attack undefended. And there's no shadow effect, so 3 attack undefended. We'll put it on Frodo and convert that into threat. Let's go ahead and use Arwen or Imladris Stargazer's action to just control what we get next round. I think it would be good to have something to go along with Ride to Ruin. Maybe, though, it's good to have Test of Will. Let's grab Test of Will. We don't need too many allies. All right, so now this Goblin Driver is going to attack for 2, and we'll defend with Beorn 1 defense. Attacking enemy gets +1. That's going to be 3 against 1. That's 2 damage on Beorn. Beorn can attack and destroy Goblin Driver. And Glorfindel can attack and destroy goblin runners. That's why I didn't destroy goblin runners last round, is because I was anticipating getting both of those enemies out of here. All right, refresh next round. And as you can see, you need to wait and use Imladris Stargazer's action, which I don't know that I explained it. Action, exhaust Imladris Stargazer to choose a player. That player looks at the top 5 cards of his deck and then returns them to the top of his deck in any order. And so we can control what's drawn. And remember, each time we do a riddle, we have to shuffle our deck. And so most likely we're going to do a riddle this round. And so you want to wait until after staging to use Imladris Stargazer. Let's go ahead and play Arwen Undomiel, and whatever she exhausts for now, she's going to boost Glorfindel's defense, because we're going to be questing with Frodo for a little while at least. Just going to do a survey of what we have in our discard pile. It's good to keep kind of tabs on that. All right, so we've got 2 Elrond's Councils, which I use Dwarven Tune to grab Elrond's Councils if I need to lower my threat. All right, we're going to quest with Arwen and Glorfindel, who does not exhaust, and Frodo. And we reveal 2 cards. The first one being Goblin Driver. When revealed, the first player exhausts 1 character he controls. I'm going to risk, I don't want to lose out on Imladris Stargazer. I'm going to risk the fact that it's probably not another enemy, so I'm going to exhaust Glorfindel. And it's revealed a Come Down Little Bird riddle. The first player names a card type and cost. Shuffle your deck, discard the top 3 cards. We will say ally 2 cost. Shuffle our deck, and we discard 3 cards. I think it was 3. Yes. 1, 2, 3. So we got 2 of those. 2 allies that were 2 costed. And so we make 2 progress. And we'll exhaust, well, we won't yet. Goblin Driver will engage us. 2 attack, we'll take it undefended. Defending character gets -1. So that's 2, there's no defending character, so 2 damage means Frodo's response yields a threat increase of 2. Let's exhaust Imladris Stargazer to grab an escort from Edoras, I think. And then we'll attack and destroy Goblin Driver. Refresh. Next round. We just want to get willpower out, so let's play West Road Traveler. We're really hoping to get a Resourceful. It doesn't always work out. We've discarded 1, but if we don't get a Resourceful, Beorn's resources just go to waste. But it didn't make sense. At one point I had Feints in my deck, but then sometimes it kept me from passing the riddles, and so it just made sense to get Resourcefuls rather than putting extra cards into play that Beorn could play. Just helps us with the riddles, because priority number 1 is Bilbo not dying. If he leaves play, we lose the game. All right, we can, if we need to, play a Test of Will. That's good that we have a resource on Glorfindel. Let's quest. And at this point, I think I might start leaving Frodo ready, just so our threat doesn't increase if he defends against an enemy. 5 progress. No, let's quest with Frodo one more time. Okay, we're revealing 2 cards. Goblin Runners, which surges. Hiding in the trees. We'll skip that when revealed and go straight to the riddle. The first player names a card type and sphere. Shuffle your deck, discard the top 3. So we'll say ally sphere. And we discard the top 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, that was 3 spirit allies. So we're already at 7 progress. And now we reveal another card. It is Goblin Axemen. All right, so we made 4 progress. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we deal with these 2 enemies here. And we will defend against, so Goblin Axeman is going to get +1 for each cave location in play. And so he's got +1. We're just going to take this undefended from Goblin. One last time, we're going to do this undefended thing on Frodo. So 3 attack undefended and no shadow. So 3 damage on Frodo. We'll convert that to threat. And we'll be careful with that moving forward. We're getting kind of dangerously high. 2 attack against Beorn's 1 defense. He does not exhaust to defend. Attacking enemy gets +1, so that is 3 attack. 2 damage on Beorn. Beorn can destroy Goblin Axemen. Glorfindel can destroy Goblin Runners. And Imladra Stargazer can look in our deck and decide what to put on top. Let's get more willpower, West Road Traveler. Okay, refresh next round. Let's play West Road Traveler. Okay, so moving forward, Arwen's going to actually boost Frodo. We're not going to quest with Frodo anymore. He's going to be our defender. And so we are questing for 7 without Frodo's help. Okay, we reveal 2 cards. The first one is What's in My Pocket? And it says when revealed, the first player must choose to answer the riddle on this card. This effect cannot be canceled. So either way, I would have to answer the riddle, which I would want to. Riddle. The first player names a sphere and cost, shuffles his deck, discards the top 2 cards. Sphere and cost. Let's say 2 cost spirit. And what was it again? 2. 1, 2. All right, so we have not answered the riddle. So this is where after you discard cards, you do have an action window, and we can take this action. Action, when answering a riddle, spend 1 Baggins resource to discard an additional player card from the top of your deck. So let's spend a resource to take that action. And it is a 2 cost. What was the thing I said? Sphere and cost. 2 cost spirit. Yeah, the top 3 were not 2 cost spirit. So we did have a match. And so that kept Gollum from attacking us if we were not able to answer that correctly. So it's sort of that theme of Bilbo being under pressure and going, give me a little time. And he finally got the answer right. Love this game. All right, so now this card flips over. Wild Wargs. And again, we just want to answer the riddle. Because I think, yeah, we'll put one more round before we progress. So the riddle says first player names a card type, shuffles his deck, and discards the top 2 cards. We're going to say ally, shuffle inner deck, and discarding, looking for allies. There's 1. So unfortunately, it looks like all of our resourcefuls, I think, are in our discard. No, just 2 of them. All right, so that is not added to staging. So we have cleared Riddles in the Dark, but we can't advance to stage 3 until both locations or both quests are cleared. So 7 progress, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I could clear this if I wanted to with a Dwarven Tomb to then play Elrond's Council, but we'll just wait one more round. Let's exhaust Imladra Stargazer to grab the Resourceful. Yay. There we go. Well, we actually don't grab it. This is not Master of the Forge. We just arrange cards in order. And so now we refresh. Next round. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's play Resourceful and attach it to Glorfindel. Per round, he's going to get another resource. So just a way to do something with Beorn's resources. Let's play a stand and fight, I think, to grab this West Road Traveler. We'll do that. Let's stand and fight, and we grab West Road Traveler for 2 spirit costs. So stand and fight is an X value card. You can take an action, choose an ally with a printed cost of X, in this case 2. In any player's discard pile, put that ally into play under your control. We just did that. And so we have 3 West Road Travelers now. And we will quest. We're going to leave Frodo ready. We're still boosting, with Arwen. In fact, I'll leave a West Road Traveler ready just in case I need to exhaust a character. I wouldn't have to discard Imladra Stargazer that way. Revealing 2 cards. One of them is Warg's Glade, and we're just going to do the riddle. First player names a sphere. Shuffle your deck, discard the top card. We're going to say Spirit. And there we go. A 10th progress made. And then this card is Wild Wargs. We'll do the riddle. First player names a card type, shuffles his deck, and discards the top 2 cards. That card type is going to be Ally. Shuffling our deck. 1, 2, no ally. I'll just pass. I don't want to keep discarding cards, and so we'll just let Gollum attack Bilbo. Let's do that. So we did not pass this riddle. So it says force after the first player answers a riddle and fails to find at least one match, Gollum attacks Bilbo. So he will exhaust to do that. Well, I guess he doesn't exhaust, but Bilbo will exhaust to defend, 2 attack against 1 defense. So he has a damage on him now. And he does not get a shadow card. So just kind of neat to show you how that works. I could have taken the action, but I don't want to necessarily keep discarding all my cards. All right, so 7 progress made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We cleared out of the frying pan and riddles in the dark. So that means players cannot advance to stage 3 unless both 1B and 2B are complete. They are, so we advance to stage 3. These 2 quests leave play. And this card here, Lake in the Cavern, it says force after players advance to stage 3, remove Lake in the Cavern from the game. Let's do that. Okay, so into the fire. To everyone's surprise, Bilbo Baggins rejoined his companions on the eastern side of the mountains. However, their celebration was cut short by the chilling sound of wolves howling close by. To the frightened hobbit, it seemed that they had escaped from the goblins only to be eaten by wargs. All right, we have to make 16 progress to advance. There is a win revealed, but it's always good to look at the text of a card because the order of importance right now, you always do passive effects first, then forced effects, then win reveal. There's no forced effects, but there are some passive effects here. So before we do the win reveal, we have to do anything passive, which passive means just perpetual state. So Gollum engages the first player. That is passive. So that immediately happens. And as long as we're here on Into the Fire, if we destroy Gollum, if we send him to the victory display, it's just like Redhorn Gate. He just comes right back and engages the first player. He cannot be, we cannot get rid of him in any way. So he is engaged with us. Let's take note that damage from undefended attacks made by Gollum, just Gollum, must be placed on Bilbo Baggins. So Frodo will be defending Gollum the rest of the game. We can't destroy Gollum, or we could, but he would just come right back. Moving forward, all riddle effects are ignored. So if we get a card, we can't choose to solve a riddle anymore. So anything coming out is being added to staging. Also, treachery cards gain surge. No matter what the treachery is, it will surge. If we defeat the stage, we've won the game. Now let's do the win revealed. The first player gains control of Bilbo Baggins. So he comes under our control. He's exhausted still. Then we reveal 1 encounter card per player and add it to the staging area. If it's a treachery, it will surge. That card is Grip, Grab, Pinch Nab. When revealed, starting with the first player, each player must choose 1 goblin enemy from the discard pile and add it to the staging area. Let's think about our options here. There are some shadow cards I don't really love. Let's go ahead and cancel this, I think, with Test of Will, so that we don't have to add a goblin, but it does surge because all treacheries are going to surge. We're going to reveal now another card. It's It Likes Riddles. Now it says here, all riddle effects are ignored. So this when revealed isn't ignored. The first player must choose to answer the riddle on this card if he finds at least 1 match. But the thing is, we have to disregard the riddle. So this just is going to surge. And that's why it surges. That card becomes, it's useless now. Okay, so Goblin's Cave is added to the staging area. And now we will travel to Goblin's Cave, I think. Let's do it. And Gollum's going to attack for 2. We'll defend with Frodo, 2 against 3. And no shadow effect. And we could destroy Gollum, but he's immediately going to re-engage us. So let's look at what's coming next. That seems good here. Now, moving forward, we're not going to be shuffling our deck to riddle effects. So everything coming out is what we want. We want these cards moving forward. Okay, so refresh. Next round. And so we're getting extra resources with Resourceful now. We have a Dwarven Tomb. Let's think about, do we want to use that? None of these allies are really compelling other than Escort from Edoras, but we already have one. Potentially we could play Ancient Madam and then play a Dwarven Tomb on Ancient Matham, but all we'd be drawing based on what we have are just a bunch of pretty tepid kind of two cost allies. We want to hang on to our Dwarven Tomb, I think, for an Elrond's Council. The only other option is we could decide to get a Test of Will with Dwarven Tomb, but I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're just going to try to quest here. Let's put out Escort from Edoras. Now, whenever he quests, we have to boost him for +2, and he would be discarded from play after questing, but it's worth it for the willpower. Okay, we're going to leave Frodo ready, I think. Let's just see what our questing total is here. 16 plus 3. It doesn't really make sense to quest with Frodo yet. We'll just wait one more round, I think. Okay, so we reveal a card. It is Grip, Grab, Pinch, Nab. So we do have to do this when revealed. It's going to surge. So let's go ahead and indicate that another card is coming. When revealed, search. Starting with the first player, each player must choose one goblin enemy from the discard pile and add it to the staging area. So that enemy is going to be the Goblin Miner. I think that's the weakest one. Yeah, Goblin Miners. So it is boosted by this cave location for 1 threat and also 1 defense. And that's going to surge into Great Grey Wolf. All right, so he's the real tough one. So we made 9 progress. This is not a goblin, so it is not boosted. 9 progress means 6 on the current quest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So now this boost goes away, both the defensive and the willpower. All right, so we have 2 enemies engaging us, and one of them is a real tough one. Let's look at Great Grey Wolf. Forced, if Great Grey Wolf is dealt a shadow card with a riddle, return all creature enemies to the staging area at the end of the combat phase. But he just attacks for a lot. That's a real problem. All right, so we will leave Imladra Stargazer ready because we might have to exhaust a character due to one of these shadow cards. Let's defend against this Great Grey Wolf with Frodo. So 5 against 3. And he does have a shadow card. So what does this say? If Great Grey Wolf is dealt a shadow card with a riddle. There's no riddle, okay. So his shadow says defending player deals damage equal, or damage among characters he controls equal to the number of goblin enemies engaged with him. There's just 1 goblin enemy. Let's put that damage on Arwen. All right, so 5 damage against, or 5 attack against 3 defense means our threat goes up by 2. And now Gollum is going to attack for 2. Let's defend with Beorn. 2 against 1. And so that's 1 damage. Remember, we can't use Frodo's response anymore. He used it already for this phase. Here is 2 attack. And we'll defend with Beorn again. 2 against 1 because we're going to win next round anyway. No shadow. So 2 against 1 means 1 damage on Beorn now. Beorn is enraged. Let's exhaust these 2 characters to destroy Great Grey Wolf. That's another reason why we have this Glorfindel and Beorn pairing is because you could get a Great Grey Wolf early, and with Glorfindel and Beorn you actually can destroy it. All right, let's exhaust Imladra Stargazer to just nothing really. We just have a bunch of junk there. Okay, shadows are discarded. Refresh. Imladris, or no, Escort from Edoras was discarded from play after he quested. All right, we definitely want to progress past this final stage here. It might not hurt to have a Test of Will because there is a card, something about trees. It kind of lowers all your threat by 1. So let's play Dwarven Tomb to grab that, to grab a Test of Will, so that we can potentially cancel that. I forget what it's called, but it's something about trees. And then we'll play a Westfold Horsebreaker. And we should be fine. We're going to quest. Glorfindel does not exhaust to quest. We should be plenty fine. 13 plus 6 is going to be 19, we're fine. Let's quest with Frodo. We'll reveal it likes riddles, and it's going to surge, but it doesn't do anything because there's no riddles in play. Great Goblin, the Goblin's Caves. We make 12 progress. That's 18 on the current quest, and we won. So this is kind of a typical playthrough. Everything works out. You just generally don't fail at the riddles because the hand is built to protect Bilbo in that way. And then we can just slowly get out willpower till eventually we just get enough to where we can easily quest past into the fire. And the combination of Beorn and Glorfindel really work well against all the enemies that are in the deck. Imladra Stargazer is so good for this quest just to help us to, it's not really card draw, but it just gives us controlled card draw. Each round during the resource phase, we're drawing a card we want to see. I never used Ride to Ruin, but sometimes we can get location locked early and or just other things. But anyway, so it's not such a bad thing to have the ability to just get rid of Goblin's Cave outright. Well, that's it. That's the quest. I hope you enjoyed it. I think it's fun. I like the riddle piece, and being forced to think differently about deck building is always fun for me. It's one of my favorite things about Lord of the Rings LCG is the fact that each quest is so different and presents a different challenge that makes you think in new and exciting ways. All right, so that is it for this expansion for Overhill and Underhill. And so the next quest is going to be a standalone, the second standalone, which was the Battle of Lake Town. We'll be facing Smaug as a really hard quest, and I'm looking forward to showing you our first Villia deck. So hope you'll join me for that. Hope you have a great day. Bye.